Sony will lock your games, your games that you paid for, they will lock them if you don't log into the internet every 30 days. I'm not kidding. So I thought this was maybe being, the internet being over dramatic. I saw some people posting about it. They didn't fully understand what was going on with this. That's a DRM rights management thing. And it turns out it's true. If you buy games from Sony and you don't log into the internet every 30 days, you can lose the right to play the games that you actually paid for. What? So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. This is Kneon, and this is the utter state of the video game industry in 2026, right? So the original post went something like, PlayStation has been rumored that there is a digital rights management policy for the console. People thought it was a glitch, and now we have official confirmation. This is coming from Pirate Nation. PlayStation support has confirmed that a new digital rights management policy for the console is intentional and not a glitch, starting with any digital games purchased after the March 2026 system update. Your PlayStation 5 will require an internet connection at least once every 30 days to validate the license. If the console stays offline longer than that, the game will simply not launch until you reconnect. This change does not affect any titles already in your library. Setting a console as your primary system also will not bypass the monthly check-in. This is some horse shit. And this is the same shit that Nintendo is pulling to with the virtual cards and all of that. They don't want you to own your game. They want you to be online all the time. They want you to subscribe monthly. This is why I think it's more important than ever. I think retro gaming is more important than ever. And I think that we need to have more consoles that don't require an internet connection. I mean, just a couch play console. We need this. But Sony and Nintendo are not incentivized to make something like this because you, dear gamer, are the product. You're the product. We need you to get onto the internet so we can sell to you. Hey, we got a sale on this new game. You want this new game, right? Yeah, you want to play these other games? Yeah, you got to subscribe every month. $20, $30, $50. It's not enough to just drop $50 on the game anymore. It's you have to be a subscriber, a pay pig. So here's their official statement. This is coming from PlayStation support. Thank you for your interest in the 30-day timer that is being applied to all new purchases. Affected content, games purchased digitally after the March 2026 update. Offline functionality. If the console does not connect to the internet within 30 days, the license expires and the game may refuse to launch until a connection is restored. Fuck that. Primary console restrictions. Saying a console is primary does not bypass the 30-day requirement. The 30-day is a valid period and not a sign of the account restriction or anything like that. This is horrible. So Push Square clarified this. I was going to cover this earlier today, but I thought it was just a rumor and people misunderstood. I'm like, Sony couldn't be this stupid. Could they? They are. This is right now, given the state of the video game industry, this is literally one of the worst things you can do. It's coming from Push Square. PS5 confirmed to be affected by game expiration issues. Sony's still silent. There had been confusion as to whether or not the PS5 was affected by Sony's alleged new DRM, which requires you to connect to the internet every 30 days in order to verify your game license. That's because, unlike the PS4, there's no disclaimer in the game information which states when your software will expire. Spawnwave has put together a video, and he said, yeah, it applies to the PS5. He tests 4 games: Saint Slayer, Vampire Crawlers, which is awesome, by the way. Vampire Crawlers. I just started playing it yesterday, and I love Vampire Survivors, and I bought it on launch day, and I didn't play it right away. I'm like, I don't know if I want to get into another vampire game. I'm like, damn it, here we go again. Anyway, it's really good. All 4 games boot normally when the console is connected to the internet. They also boot fine when taken offline, but in order to confuse the console's time verifier, he removes the CMOS battery from the PS5 Pro. In these conditions, Saint Slayer and Vampire Crawlers no longer load. Crimson Desert does boot. Pragmata works as usual. The error message that displays is as follows: can't use this content, can't connect to the server to verify your license, wait a while and try again. Nintendo's doing the same thing with the Switch, with the virtual game cards, because I think I've told this story before. What happened to me is last year we lost power for like 2 or 3 days here in Western Pennsylvania. It was awful. Like everybody lost power. And my Switch was fully charged. And apparently right before the power outage, that's when Nintendo decided to do this virtual game card crap. Anyway, I had I have tons of physical Switch games. I couldn't play any of them because I had to like assign the virtual rights or something to my Switch, which is the biggest load of horse shit. I'm like, I own these games. They're sitting on my shelf. I didn't think I needed to get online to play Final Fantasy X, but apparently I did. The only game that worked was my Genesis collection. I had the Sega Genesis collection because that was already in the system, I guess, when it went down, and it had already gone through the thing. But yeah, it's like, no, you need an internet connection because we need to verify that, because we have multiple Switches. So it was like, we need to verify that this Switch is using that game. And it was the dumbest. I was pissed. I was furious. Now I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. I'll go out and I'll play one of the other, many downloaded games. No, I couldn't play those either. I couldn't play anything. It was like, what is the point? Like, what is the point of having a console and buying physical games if you can't even play them? Now, in this case, we're talking digital downloads, but it is going to extend. I can almost guarantee you it will extend to physical copies as well. They want to get rid of physical games because they want you to buy the same game over and over and over again and be able to control, when you can play them, right? So some other comments here on X. Kaya here says, people really saying just connect to the internet, not a big deal. My brother in Christ, that's not the point. God forbid a natural disaster happens to you, or you can't pay your Wi-Fi bill 1 month and just can't play games you paid for until you reconnect. Doesn't matter if you have internet. It's a matter of principle. I agree with this. You shouldn't be okay with Sony arbitrarily taking away access to games you spent your hard-earned money on. The more comfortable you get with this, the worse it will get. And people are just going along with it, right? I mean, that's it. They're just like, well, what are we going to do? We got to play my PlayStation. I'm like, there are decades of older games you can play. I want to see somebody come up with a console, an offline couch play console, and be like, you know what? You buy this cartridge, you buy this disc, you own this game. Nobody can take it from you. You have no internet access. You take this thing to a cabin out in the middle of the woods. You just have a little TV and this game console, it's still going to work. That's what we need to go back to. Kaya says, we're frogs in the pot and they're slowly raising the heat and some of y'all aren't noticing. No, I'm noticing. Here we have a Spanish PlayStation site. A user contacted PlayStation support and they confirmed this is real. It's intentional, not a bug. Bublik says PlayStation just confirms it's intentional. You bought a game, you paid full price, go offline for 30 days, it locks you out. Here's the part that should scare you. No public announcement. Nope. Not mentioned in the terms of service. Primary console doesn't help. Affects all purchases after March 2026. PlayStation support called a technical measure. Is that what we're calling it now? Technotica says Sony lost their minds. Enough already. Sony has put an expiration date on your PlayStation digital games. Starting March 21st, all purchased games include a hidden timer. If you don't connect to the internet for 30 days, they get blocked. Charlie Intel says PlayStation is reportedly requiring users to connect online every 30 days on PS5 and 4 to restore licenses for digitally purchased games. This applies for games purchased after March 2026. And yeah, so if you bought a game this month and you were not aware of this, what if you bought a whole bunch of games? What if you dropped like $200 on games this month? Right? Maybe they had a sale or something and you bought a whole bunch of games and guess what? You can't play them unless you go online. And again, most people are going to be like, well, of course you're going to go online. Duh. All the games are always online. I'm like, yeah, but they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. An MMO, yeah, I get it. Right? First person shooter, I get it. But like a platform game? I mean, I'm sitting here like vampire crawlers? I mean, seriously, it's what? Like you can't even play that? Sony remains silent, says Seth at midnight, because this was 100% intentional and they were hoping to push it through without anyone noticing it. Such a scummy company. MBG says, one of my viewers contacted PlayStation support about the 30-day DRM. The response they got makes it sound like this is not a mistake or bug. Okay, so that was one of their viewers. Okay, they described it as a technical feature. Sony hasn't responded. Shane says, if this was Xbox, the internet and games media would literally self-combust. Nick Tech says, the new DRM on the PlayStation update is a disgrace to gaming. Sony should make a statement whenever this PlayStation support message is, whether or not it's real or fake. This issue with a 30-day timer being applied to all new purchases isn't about having an active internet connection. It's the concept of ownership. Sony is taking away rights from users who purchase their games digitally. If you go offline for more than 30 days, you're locked from playing a game you bought with your own money. Yes, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Because, again, at that point, you don't own the game. You're leasing the game, right? Your console shouldn't require an active online internet connection to verify the purchase or validity of a video game that you purchased previously, in my opinion. And this is kind of the problem with movies, too, though. I mean, if you think about it, this happens with movies, too. You buy a movie on Vudu or Fandango or whatever the hell they call it now, and you have to be online, obviously, to play it. But even when you download those movies, because like when we've gone on trips, been on the airplane, we download movies to our iPads or phones or whatever to watch on the plane, and they expire after a while, and you have to reconnect. I don't think it's 30 days though. I think it's longer than that, but it always has to check to make sure that you actually own it. Which I mean, look, I understand to some degree, I do. But this is horseshit. I mean, gamers aren't you tired of this? I'm tired of this. I'm like to the point now where I'm like, shit, man, I'm just going to go back to playing retro games and fuck all this. It's like the retro games is like, I buy the cartridge, I put it in, I turn it on, I own it. It works. Very simple. Very simple. What do you guys think? We're going to wrap this up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.